Hey guys, Rob Potter here. What I wanted to do in this video is basically give you guys a bit of an insight into the way I go about post-processing my images. Now, one thing I get asked quite a lot on the through photography hotspots is about how I go about creating these images. Obviously, people know that I use Photoshop and those types of things, and I honestly and always say I love Photoshop, and in particular, I also love HDR photography. So, what I'd like to do is take this opportunity to show you a little bit about my images and what goes into them. And what I'm even thinking about is, and I don't want to sort of say I'm going to do this each week, but what I would like to do on a regular basis is to, once I finish working on an image, is basically give you guys a very quick, it's not a full-on in-depth tutorial, but basically give you guys a bit of an idea into what it was that went into creating the finished product. And basically, the reason I want to do that is hopefully to help answer some of the questions I get, and also to give people a bit of an understanding about maybe something that they hadn't thought of doing with their images, or a tip inside of Photoshop that they didn't know of, or just something little that they could pick up and then apply that to their images. As well, for me, it's also a great little learning tool for me to keep refreshing myself and keep trying to find new things to show you guys. So I want to try and do these on a regular basis. This is the very first one, so any feedback that you have for me at the end of this video would be greatly appreciated. Just pop it down below in the comments and I'll take that into consideration, and also, as well as any questions that you have, I'd love to hear them. So any Photoshop related questions, bring them on. So this location, if you're wondering where this is actually down at Oak Park in Cronulla. Nice little location. This is taken at sunrise, so if you're down the Shire way, definitely worth checking out. What I'll do is I'll pop the link to the photography review for Oak Park that I wrote on Hotspots. I'll pop a link to that below in the notes, and you can check that out if you want to find out more about this location. But nice little location, as you can see, hopefully as you can see from this image here. So as I mentioned, I do love HDR. This image here is no exception. This is a HDR image, and I'll just show you the different exposures that went into making this. So if you're not too sure about HDR, in a nutshell, basically what it is you take a series of bracketed photos inside your camera, and it could be as little as 2, I guess, or even 1. You can make it out of 1, but basically in the end you need a few different exposures. I, on average, will take 7, but it depends on the light situation, where I am, and those types of things. As low as 3 I'll take, and as many as 9. It also comes down to your camera and the type of camera you have. But anyway, I won't get into it too much. I want to try and keep these pretty short. But if I am going to do a lot more around HDR on the website, so keep your eye out for that if you're interested in HDR. So I've got these 7 images here, and as you can see, they go from quite a dark exposure, or so this is underexposed by 3 stops. Then you have your normal, like basically if your camera had been set up properly and taken your normal style type photo, and then overexposed by 3 stops, and that gives you basically, that way you get all the details in like the leaves and that sort of stuff, as well as all the details in, like, the star coming off the sun there, which you wouldn't get in a normal sort of type image because it's blown out. So that's the benefits of HDR, and one of the reasons why I love HDR so much. The other thing that I did with this photo here, a little sneaky thing, as you can see, there's a couple of people enjoying the water there, but there's nobody there. But what did happen was older gentleman came in and stood there and sort of watched the sun come up for a little bit. So I basically captured him, and then I also brought him across into what you'll see is the final image as well. So let's jump over into Photoshop. So basically the program that I use for HDR is Photowalks. I love Photowalks, have used it forever and absolutely adore it. And what happens is you put it into Photowalks, you play around with your different sliders and that sort of stuff, and it spits you out a tone mapped image. Now this is the tone mapped image that I got out of Photowalks after I'd finished playing around with all the different settings. I don't play around with Photowalks too much, in the way I don't move sliders too far, and those. I think I probably play with, off the top of my head, there's probably 3 or 4 sliders that I use, and I don't sort of move them too far. But this is the end product. Now, for me, my post-processing has really changed quite a bit over the past 12 months. I am forever watching YouTube videos myself, and I subscribe to a couple of different photography websites and those types of things to try and always stay up to date with what's cool and what's happening, and try and learn as many different little tricks as I can. So one thing that again, it's evolved quite a bit, but one thing that I have now started doing, probably since Christmas, is I have started bringing across or masking in original areas of the different exposed images. So what I mean by that is basically my tone map is my foundation, so it's a bit of a building block, and then I start to, as you can see, I can start to build on top of that. So what I mean by that exactly is, as you can see, as I start to turn all these off, you can start to see things starting to change in the image. So what I do is, this is the tone mapped image. What I start to do is I start to go back into Bridge, and I start to work out from these images, okay, well, what elements of these images do I actually prefer to the tone mapped image? Now, a big one for HDR is water. So with water, if you think about it, Photomatics does a fantastic job, but it still struggles a little bit because to try and capture the stillness of the water, because it's trying to combine 7 different images. Excuse me. So what I like to do is, especially this works really well for water, is I'll bring back in an exposure that I feel captured the waves really well, and in particular it's this one here. So I bring that in, I mask that in, as you can see from these here. Okay, so I basically bring that in and then paint in the areas that I want. So if we go through them, I've sort of lightened the foreground there, so just this grass area here I've lightened up, then the water, then I decided that the chair needs to be lightened up, and this little plant and the shrub on the right hand side there, this shoreline or beach, if you will. I then brought in the old gentleman there, standing there watching the sun coming up. And last but not least, it was actually not a plant. It was just something that obviously somebody had snapped off a tree and left there. Honestly, was not me. It just left there, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to move that. It looks quite good in the image. So now, I must admit, this takes me a long time because it can be quite painstaking. I do sort of zoom right in and really sort of work in the different areas and painting and masking and all those types of things. So I'm only selecting areas and not others. So to give you a bit of an idea, this image here, all up, probably took me, not including taking the photo, but probably took me about an hour and a half. Maybe a little bit less, but not much of post-processing. I actually did this over 2 nights. So, but this here does take a long time. The next part, stage 2, doesn't take too long, but this stage here does take me quite a while. So once I've got that and I'm happy, the next thing that I do is I apply a noise filter. So HDR can get a little bit noisy, so I've got a plugin that I use called Noiseware for my noise. And then this is probably where, obviously, that was quite a big change here. Okay, and then the next, probably the biggest change you're going to see is Topaz Adjust 5. I love Topaz Adjust 5. So I bring that in, and basically it starts to, well, as you can see, just increases color, separates things out a little bit better, makes things a little bit more sharp. It does some really nice stuff. I'm a big fan of Topaz Adjust. And then what I like to do also is sharpen the image, just using the unsharp mask. So you go filter and sharpen and unsharp mask there. So that's something that I do. And basically I think we're probably funny photographers because we sort of get into this routine. And this is definitely my routine. So after Topaz Adjust, I then go sharpen. And as you can see, I work in all my different layers. I don't actually ever sort of get rid of. I just sort of, once I've finished an effect, I then create a brand new layer with everything and then, apply my next effect. The next thing I do, as you can see, I turn this little folder on here, is I've got it curved, so I sort of start to lighten things up. And in particular, it's been the foreground here. You can see I've sort of applied a gradient to the mask so that the sky is not affected that much. And a little vibrance thing that I like to do, using some blend modes, just gives the image a little bit more of a pop. And I'll do another little video just on that, because I'm a bit of a fan of this little technique. I'm pretty sure I didn't come up with it, but I think I've sort of taken it from a couple of different photographers that I've seen who have done videos and sort of made it my own, but I really enjoy it. So I'll definitely do a video on that because I think it's a cool little thing. And then after that, I love levels. Levels does so much in Photoshop. Not only does it adjust lighting, but adjust colour. So you can see I've just subtly brought out the reds, and again, this will be another little video that I'll do. So probably should start writing a list here. But yeah, love levels for bringing out colour, and especially reds for sunset or sunrise. So just subtle, it just helps bring out that colour a little bit more. And you can see some of these actually that I'm turning on. This one isn't, but I think this one was here. That's just, if you're wondering, oh, you just turned that on and skipped over it, that's actually nothing. I've just sort of combined and then applied the next filter, which is that one there. Now this one here, no, not that one, this one we're up to. Okay, so you can see 5% overlay, just applies a little bit of oomph. It's very subtle. You have to probably look pretty close. Just surprised again, that little bit of oomph really starts to, I don't know, I really like my images to sort of pop and have a fair bit of contrast and those types of things. So this is another little technique that I use to create that. And then sort of just going in here and just fixing up a couple of little things with the healing brush and the patch tool and those types of things. So you see the swimmers, I decided to remove them and just have the, again, the older gentleman standing there. And then I also fixed up there was something happening in the grass, and I'm pretty sure it was just a sunspot or a lens flare down there, but I've sort of removed that as well from the final image. So there's that. And then last but not least, a vignette. So basically just creating a vignette in Photoshop, and that helps, again, draws people's eyes to the center of the image, so it just sort of darkens the corners, and hopefully that's fairly subtle as well. And that's basically it. So basically that's my final image. So if we do it before and after, I'll just hold down the Alt key and I'll click on the little icon down the bottom there in the background. You can see that's the before. So not really the before, that's the tone mapped after I've taken it through Photomatics, and that's the final image after I've done all my post-processing. Well, I hope that's helped. Let me know what you thought of it. Again, I'm keen to do a few more of these. I'm happy to sort of give away some of my sort of tips and techniques and tricks and those types of things, but hopefully only if they help. So let me know what you think. Again, if you have any questions, those types of things. And yeah, if you like it, hopefully I'll see you in the next video. All right, guys, thanks very much. Bye.